As this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta starts to wrap up, I can honestly say that Marlo is pure evil. Evil, bruh. But other than that, we saw another great episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta filled with a lot of confetti, sisterhood, and seeing Ralph finally put his foot down to Drew's mother. We're going to talk about all of that and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk? And welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified, so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. Alright, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about, and it all centers around this week's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta, where we finally saw just how evil Marlo is. And where we also saw a lot of confetti, sisterhood, and Ralph finally putting his foot down to Drew's mother. So let's just hop right on into it, starting off with Ralph. Now, the whole episode kind of started off with Ralph getting his book launched about fatherhood and parenting as a stepfather. We saw him at his promo shoot for his book cover. And I was very glad to see that Drew was finally coming around to Ralph writing his book, because contrary to unpopular belief, I think Ralph can offer us a lot of insight on parenting as a stepfather, and can help us, a lot of guys who are step parents or people looking from the outside in, understand how intricate that stepfather role is and how kind of sticky the conversation can get towards a man coming into a woman's life and parenting her child from a different man and trying to assert himself as a father figure, but also being respectful of his actual father. And so I think that Ralph does offer a lot of knowledge to that space, and I think that the way that Marlo, tried to come at him and pass on the last couple of episodes about him not wanting to adopt Josiah was completely unwarranted, because we see Ralph had some valid points. Now, I was also very glad to see Ralph finally put his foot down to Drew's mother, and here's why. Now, respectfully, that is his mother-in-law, but he does not owe her anything. I mean, any type of explanation when it comes to his marriage with Drew. Now, he has to explain himself to Drew. That's his wife and her son. We're going to give him that. He has to explain his rationale as to why he doesn't want to adopt Josiah. And when he explained that to Drew, Drew may have had some issue with it, but that's fine. But I felt like Drew should have presented that to her mother, like, I'm not okay with it right now, but that's his decision, that's his rationale, and I'm going to respect it, and I would like for you to respect it as well, and not kind of like beat a dead horse about it, and not try to come at him about how it's not a good idea or how you feel like he should adopt Josiah, because I feel like, as you said, some point he will come around to it. So I can kind of see the frustration in Ralph's face, because as an Aquarius, we kind of hate explaining ourselves to people who we feel like we don't necessarily have to explain ourselves to, right? And especially in his marriage, you can see that he tries to keep his marriage between Drew and himself very pretty much close knit. Not in a very controlling way like some may think, but I think he tried to keep his marriage with Drew very close, and sometimes disconnected from the outside, just to make sure that no outside negative influences are penetrating that family unit. And that's one thing about Ralph I do applaud. He just needs to come up with a better way of doing it. But I was definitely glad to see him finally put his foot down to his mother-in-law, because I think a lot of times she can overstep her boundaries. And, that's her daughter as well. But also, I think that for the sake of their whole entire family unit, that they need to start respecting Ralph's opinions a little bit more, because he does come off as if he's thought these things through, and he's just not doing it just in the fly of the moment. Now, kinfolk, the next thing I want to talk about is Sheree. Bruh. Sheree, as I told you guys about 2 episodes ago, she has no interest in being a fashion designer. She has no interest in launching She by Sheree. If she did, she would have been done it by now. And to me, that's the big secret that I think she's holding in, and that she's going to probably tell everybody next season. She has absolutely no interest in She by Sheree. Now, what she does have interest in, let's say a company came in and said, we want to partner with you, Sheree. We want to make you the face of our brand, and we'll pay you X amount of dollars off of sales. She'll do that. And I think that's probably what she should do. And what I realized when Kenya came into that model call, it really showed me the real reason why Sheree has not gotten things off the ground. And when Kenya came in, kind of sort of throwing her weight around here and there, I realized that that Sheree lacks a manager. Sheree needs a really good manager, because Sheree listens. You cannot deny that Sheree listens. Sometimes she listens to the wrong people and takes the wrong advice, but Sheree listens. And I think that is a good thing, because if she had a good, capable, strong manager, Sheree and her brand could take off. And I kind of feel like that may be what she kind of realized too towards the end of She by Sheree. And so if it is something that she probably ultimately wants to do, then I hope that she understands that she needs a manager, a good manager who knows what they're doing. And also I would like to say to that effect, when she was at the dinner for Kenya and Marlo, I think that when the ladies were corralling around her and saying some things that, you know, kind of put She by Sheree in a negative light, and also uplifting her, I think Sheree realized this. I think Sheree really realized for the first time that everyone in that room wants to see her succeed. And I think for the longest, Sheree did not feel like she had that sisterhood on the show, and it kept her from opening up. It kept her from being vulnerable. It kept her from saying, I need help. Because you had Nene on the show, who seemed to be doing things on her own, but, you know, being very successful outside of the show. You saw the same thing with Candy and even Kim at some point. And so I think that Sheree might have felt inferior asking for help, because these ladies seem to have done it on their own, when in actuality they just had good people helping them behind the scenes and great management. And now when they was at the dinner table, I think Sheree for the first time really saw that this is a sisterhood. No one at that table wants to see her fail. And I think that allowed her to open up more and say that she needs help. And I think that that may be a sign that if she wants to do She by Sheree, I am still of the opinion that she doesn't. But if she does, I think she's more open to asking for help and doing about it and making She by Sheree finally a success. Now, kinfolk, moving on to the issue with Sheree and Drew. Look, I know y'all have been running Sheree through about how Sheree don't pay her bills, about how Sheree don't pay the contractors, how Sheree don't all be lying about how much money she has, about Sheree always trying to exude this elaborate lifestyle that she really can't afford. I be hearing all of those things, and I be seeing all of those things on social media. But kinfolk, in this instance, I am going to have to agree with Sheree when it comes to this party with her and Drew. And here's why. When Drew was reading off that invoice of all the things that she paid for their party, I was like, this is a scam. $700 for balloons? Like, if you looked at the balloon setup that they had, those were like the small balloons. You can go to Party City and get a pack of 50 for like, what, $9.99? And then on top of that, you can go to Party City and get one of the portable helium tanks, and you can get one of those for what, $20, $30 at most. So you trying to get me to pay you $700 for a setup? Oh, and the streamers and the ribbon. You can go to Dollar Tree and get that for $1. They probably got 2 of those because the streamers are kind of long. But you looking at a setup that probably at the high end cost a decorator maybe $50 to do. $60 if you want to give her $10 on gas to go pick up everything. And you expect me to pay $700 for it? She didn't realize she was talking to Sheree. Sheree know a scam when she see one. If don't nobody else on that show know a scam when they see one, Sheree know a scam. And Sheree said, I'm finna pay that. Sheree said, I'm not finna pay. That's a scam. That's a setup by either you or Ref to get one of y'all homeboys or homegirls a little quick check from off the show. And I ain't finna do that. I ain't finna do that, bro. And I do not blame Sheree at all. And I do believe Sheree when she said she didn't agree to it because she didn't want to make it seem like knowing Sheree that she was on a budget and this how much they should spend. She didn't want to come off as cheap. But Sheree should have given her. They should have come up with a budget together. They should have stick with that budget, and everything would have been cool. But Sheree walked in that party and said, "Baby, I don't see $5,000 worth of decorations. I see about maybe at most $500, including the food worth of party stuff. And I'll probably give you a stack because the food was pretty good and it looked kind of like it did cost a little bit more. But that's it, Kinfolk." So I agree with Sheree on that. Now, Kinfolk, let's just get to the meat of this this review. And it is how I see how Marlo is being so evil. So evil. And she's doing it by doing this. Marlo has this way of trying to exert power over people by making them feel less than, to making people feel like she has more than they have. When in actuality, I think it's just an insecurity. And why do I think it's an insecurity? Because if you notice when she was talking to her nephews about how was their time at her sister's house, the nephew was talking about, well, we had to always go into a dirty bathroom. We didn't have our own bed, so I guess they had to sleep in the same bed with each other, or they had to sleep on the couch. And Marlo was insinuating, you see how good y'all have it here? And it doesn't seem like it was a lesson in how to be respectful and how to take care of things. It seems like it was a lesson in poverty. It just seemed like it had no other intentions but to show her nephews, you see how low class my sister lives and you see how high class I live, y'all should be thankful. And that's evil, bro. That's evil because Marlo already knew her sister had kids of her own that she's trying to raise. Marlo already knew that her sister has a career, a job, a very demanding job in the medical field, that she knows that she does not have enough time to devote to her nephews and to her kids her already full workload. And so when Marlo was trying to chastise her about not making the boys do this and do that and do that, and you see how hard it is, it's not the fact that it's hard, it's the fact that Marlo, you knew what you were doing. You just put an overload on your sister who was probably already on overload to begin with, just to try to prove a point that you're not the evil person that your sister is because she doesn't have the things you have, and that your nephews are because you got tired of raising them as their caretaker. And it also showed me another part of Marlo that I can see what Kenya sees, and it's this. I can see why King was at that table and she said that the reason why her and Marlo always fall out is because Marlo always shows you who she is. And Kenya has started to believe that. And Kenya realized that Marlo has no really good intentions for anyone but Marlo. If it makes Marlo look good, she's for it. If you make Marlo look good, she's for you. But if not, then she turns to this person who really begins to show their horns. And I saw what Kenya meant by that, the way Marlo treated her sister and her nephews. It was very disingenuous. It was very backhanded. And I just really feel like Marlo really dropped the ball this season in trying to show us a softer side of her with her nephews and with her family. It really was the whole season Marlo trying to prove, oh, I'm such a great mom. I'm such a great mom. It's not me. It's them. It's them. It's them. And it just fell flat every single time. And I see why Candace stepped in, because Marlo contradicted herself every single episode whenever she talked about her nephews and how she was feeling overwhelmed and things of that nature. And it really does seem like Marlo has her nephews for the look and not necessarily for the better reasons. Like, you look at some of the things that she's instilling in them about being materialistic, and you see when they came back they had manicures and pedicures. You know, it's always good to introduce young black boys and young black girls to, you know, the finer side of life. But like Kenya said, you cannot make that foundational. You cannot make that who they are, because without them, they're not going to understand who they are, and they're going to be just like Marlo, always overcompensating and feeling insecure and lashing out at people who make her see that she is genuinely and sometimes not a good person because she is too vain and about herself and too materialistic. So with that being said, I can see why Kenya just really doesn't fool with Marlo in that way. But speaking of Kenya, I think Kenya finally found her match in Miss Royan, and here's why. That exchange between Kenya and is Royan or Royan was hilarious. They both had that dry humor and that dry shade, and it was like Kenya, being the shade assassin that she is, she was able to pick up on it, and she was able just to match it back to back to back. She could say, okay, she throws shade, but hers a little dry, so I got to get my dry shade or work in, and they were going back and forth, and that was literally the most entertaining shade off I think of this season, because Sanya never could give it to Kenya the way Rowan was giving it to her, and that's what Sanya needs. Like Sheree said, you cannot continue to let Kenya jab at you, and you not jab back, because she might just run you out this show, or it might get to the point to where you get so frustrated you might lash out physically like Portia did. So I think that Sheree did give her a lot of insight, Sanya a lot of insight on how to handle Kenya. And I think Sanya really just had to watch the way Ron did it. And at the end of the day, you saw Kenya, see how she respected Ron. At the end of the day, she was like, okay, she can hold her own. And I think that's what kind of Kenya wants to pull out of Sanya. And if Sanya comes back next season, I think we might see Kenya pull that out of her. But I don't know. And also, Kinfolk, the next thing and the last thing I want to talk about is Sheree and Apollo. That was a very good exchange, I think. I like how Apollo came in and really, they treated Sheree like a big sister or like a sister, and gave her some very sound advice on how to handle Tyrone. And I think we saw a lot of that when Tyrone came to the fashion show. Sheree looked like she was over it. And I think that's because for some reason Apollo was able to penetrate Sheree's thinking. Could none of the ladies make Sheree see that, but Apollo came in and she really took control. She really took what he was saying to heart, and I think that really helped her really release Tyrone's hold on her, and I think that helped her move on, because after that conversation with Apollo, as we're gonna see next episode, Sheree was done with Tyrone. So I thought that was a very fun episode, very fun scene in the episode. Seeing Apollo come back, I'm like, where the hell Apollo getting his money from? Apollo rode up in a Rolls Royce. I said, we ain't finna get into that. Apollo came through looking fly. He was like, look, I did my time. I'm outside. But kinfolk, last thing, Candace so shady. Let me tell you something. Candace, I think, is low-key probably one of the top 3 most shadiest housewives on Real Housewives of Atlanta. The way she read Sheree for those invitations and those clothes, she was like, the clothes in the invitation box look better than the clothes she bought Sheree. Maybe she should start just doing dog clothes or I don't know. That could be a lane for Sheree. I don't know. But like Kenya and Candace said, Sheree could have the best brand, the biggest brand, the most lucrative brand, but in my opinion, she has to get her team together. Like Nene said, you're on the wrong team, and you got to get your team together. But kinfolk, other than that, I wonder how much you guys enjoyed this new episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I must say, it was a continuous, like, nice balance of drama, fun, lighthearted moments that I think that Real Housewives of Atlanta has been missing for quite some time now. So, let me hear from you guys. If you like this new episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta, let me know in the comments section below. Or if you wasn't feeling this new episode, let me know in the comments section below as well. Alright, kinfolk, that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys over on the next one. Peace.